Well, the story of a little boy's near-death experience and what he described as a trip to heaven quickly turned into a best-selling book. Heaven is for Real has spent the past 52 weeks on the New York Times bestsellers list, including 44 weeks at #1. And now the family who brought it to us is out with the children's version called Heaven is for Real for kids. And Todd, Sonia, and Colton Burpo are with us this morning. Good morning to all of you. It's good to see you again.
Good morning.
Well, let's recap for those who aren't familiar with the book, although it has spent so much time at the top of the bestsellers. When Colton was 4 years old, he had a burst appendix, had several surgeries, and having come through that, he started telling you guys about having seen heaven. What did he say, Todd?
Well, I think his stories have been incredible. He could see us where we were in the hospital while he was in surgery, so that first grabbed our attention because those facts, we didn't know how he knew them. And then he goes on to talk about a sister he met in heaven, my grandfather. Then, of course, he tells us what God looks like. And then the only painting of Jesus that he's ever said is right. The information that he shares is just pretty incredible.
And Sonia, one of the things that really stood out to you was that Colton seemed to know things that you had never told him. I mean, after all, he was only 4 years old at the time.
Yeah, he told us about our miscarried daughter and about a great-grandfather he'd never met and various other things.
And Colton, it's been 8 years now. It's a long time for anybody. Do you still have those vivid memories of heaven?
Yes, I do.
And what stands out most in your mind? What can you really still see?
Well, the things I remember most are my family members and Jesus.
Do you worry at all that those memories will get fuzzier and fuzzier over time? That happens to everybody.
No, I think those memories are implanted.
Yeah. You know, let's address the skepticism, because I know you're familiar with it, and I guess it has two parts. On the one hand, some people are just, they want to believe this. Who wouldn't want to believe it? But they wonder, could it really be true that someone so young could actually see heaven and live to tell about it? What's your response to them?
Well, we questioned our son at first, but I think as parents, everyone can tell when their 4-year-old's telling the truth. And when they're telling you things that they cannot make up, we're just close enough to really verify the story. And for people that are farther away, we understand that. But we also see all the people that are finding peace and hope and comfort from Colton's story. So for those people that might even be against the story, we just kind of look past them and see all the people that are getting peace and hope. And it's incredible to have ideas. What do my loved ones look like? How am I going to meet them? What's it going to be like? And for them to hear that and to have peace, that's what we focus on.
It's an amazing perspective to start thinking in those terms, and yet I think the other criticism would be, well, you wrote a book about it, now we've got the kids' book, I hear a movie may be in the works. So for those who are sitting back there at home and saying, gosh, is this all about getting a profit? What would your response be, Sonia?
No, it's not about that. We were just going to share the story, and God bless the story, and a lot of people have found different parts in it that they felt a hurt and were touched by it, and so that wasn't our intention. Our intention was just to write and help a few people, and it's just kind of exploded. And the kids' book we're super thrilled about.
Yeah, Colton, I know now people that are your age can read it. Are you pretty excited about that, about sharing your story?
Well, actually, the book really isn't for my age. I'd say the adult version is more their age, but kids 4 through 8, it's a 32-page picture book. Yeah. So it works for them pretty good because the wording's easy, pictures describe the story.
All right, well, it's wonderful to have you here. Have you thought about who might play you in the movie? I mean, everybody likes that game.
I have no clue. Yeah. I think those two already have a few people that they already have, but I don't.
All right. Well, it'll have to be someone pretty good to play you. Colton, thank you so much. Sonia and Todd, great to have you with us. Once again, the book is Heaven is for Real for kids.
We're back with more of Today on this Tuesday, and if the name Colton Burpo doesn't ring a bell, his story probably does. When he was just about 4 years old, undergoing surgery for a burst appendix that went undiagnosed for 5 days, Colton says he went to heaven.
And now the family behind the best-selling book Heaven is for Real is out with a children's version called Heaven is for Real for kids. And we're happy to welcome Todd, Sonia. Colton is in the house.
The Burpos are back.
We do love when Colton's here. Colton, you brighten the place up. Last time you came, we hugged you a lot. We're so glad you're here. Do you like coming to see us?
Yep.
What do you like the most about it? You don't have to answer that. You know what? This book has been an amazing publishing phenomenon. It's a little book. was on the New York Times bestseller list, #1, was on the list for a year, it still is.
Still on the list.
And 44 weeks as #1, Colton.
Yeah.
Huh? Is that a miracle? Different kind of
Yeah.
miracle? Yeah. What do you think resonated with the story of you telling your mom and dad when you got back from heaven what it was like?
Well, I really don't know how they wanted to write a book. Well, God pretty much pushed my dad into it, but
Gotta
I
do
just
that, huh?
Yeah, a lot. So I just told him my experiences, and it ended up healing a few hurts also.
Yeah.
Wow. It's interesting because, I mean, this is one of those books where you remember, this happened 8 years ago. You're 12 years old now. So it must be hard to remember, but because you and your dad talked it through, you remember. What are the big things you remember from heaven?
Well, the big things are my family members and Jesus.
Yeah. You saw, which family members did you see?
My great-grandfather, Pop, and my sister who was miscarriage.
And Dad, when he originally told you about this stuff, did you shake your head and say, are you sure this is what you're saying is true, or did you automatically believe what your son was telling you?
Well, when we first started listening, he also could explain to us where we were in the hospital and what we were doing while he was in surgery. And I couldn't explain that away. I think, you know, maybe embarrassingly so, we doubted, we questioned too, but he kept giving us answers and the right answers. Kids can't make up stuff and be right, and that stuff really is what.
So what was he telling you? So he said when
You were in separate rooms,
Yeah,
right?
we were in separate rooms. He could tell me I was in a small room praying by myself. She was in a waiting room on the phone asking people to pray, and he's given us, you know, most of the time we were together, but he even knew at that moment we were apart and separated, and he nailed it.
And do you know how much time you were actually there? Did it seem like a certain amount of time?
Well, I don't know how or why, but for some reason I said 3 minutes.
Okay.
3 minutes.
Well, you know what's interesting? I mean, I read the book and talked to you guys not only here but for Dateline as well. And then to put this into a children's book version is kind of cool because
Yeah,
it's got great
beautiful
illustrations. And why did you guys decide to do that, to turn this into a children's book?
Well, I think from the very beginning, a kid knows what a kid wants to know about heaven. I think, you know, as a child, we'd go up to adults and they'd say, well, the streets are gold. Kids don't care about that. What a kid wants to know, Colton's going to tell them in that book.
Well, I love when you were trying to figure out what title the book should be. They asked you, and you said,
I just want them to know that heaven is real.
So, and that's where it came from. Now, you've gotten some criticism. There are a lot of cynical people in the world who think that maybe you're doing this as a family for financial gain. How do you feel about the criticism?
I think there's a lot of people that say thank you. And they contact us all the time. We did this so people could have some peace, the peace that we found when he talked about his sister, my granddad. And a lot of people are finding peace. And so when people criticize, we just kind of look past them. Good. And we just look to all the people that's being helped, and that's what we choose to focus on.
This book's an audiobook too, Colton, and we get to hear your voice on it?
Well, it's gonna come out very soon.
Okay.
We're not sure when. It was supposed to come out around Thanksgiving.
But you've recorded it, and it's an app.
It's an app?
It's an
Look
app.
at you,
Your
fancy,
iPad,
with
no.
your iPad, fancy.
Yeah.
So you can just tap on it, and then what happens? You're talking? Something
You
like
can
that?
either have me read it because I've already been pre-recording reading the book, or you can record up to 3 other voices to read it. So like a grandparent could read it to their
That's a lovely,
kids.
lovely idea. More and more people come to your church now?
Well, we're waiting. You know, it's kind of interesting. When we travel, you know, it's amazing the people that want to come and hear about Colton's story. But everyone in our town has heard about this for a long time. It's old news to them.
All right.
We wish you guys
Great
a
to
Merry
see you all
Christmas.
again. Merry
Colton,
Christmas
come see us
to you.
again.
I'll try to.
You know you will. You know you will.
Up next, your nutrition questions answered right after this. Great to see you again.